Hey, this is Seth, Kniep'n It Real. Today I'm going to go over the 10 most common asked questions about taxes when selling on Amazon. Now, there are two caveats I have to share with you before I do this. Number one, I'm not a tax professional. So you need to go to a tax lawyer if you're trying to get exact answers on this topic on a legal level. I don't work for the IRS. I've never worked for the IRS, and I am not a lawyer myself. Second, what I'm going to share with you relates directly to you if you are selling in the US. Now, some of it is going to overlap if you're selling in Canada, some even to the UK and Germany, but for the most part, this is about the US. I have sold in other countries. I continue to sell in other countries, but my knowledge is stronger for the US when it comes to taxes because I'm an American-born citizen. So having said that, let's go over these 10 questions commonly asked, and I hope they're helpful to you today. Question number one, does Amazon require me to collect sales tax? Now, there are two sides of the tax question. One side is, do you need to pay tax and when you sell on Amazon? And the other side is, do you need to collect taxes and when you sell on Amazon? This first question has to do, obviously, with collecting taxes. The answer is, currently, Amazon does not require you to collect taxes. The second question is, does the state require me to collect taxes when selling on Amazon? Now, I'm going to quote for you in the words of a tax lawyer. Yes, when your business has a presence in a state significant enough that you're required to comply with sales tax law. So the answer is very vague and fuzzy because that is the truth. It is fuzzy and vague. At what point does a state require that? Now, here's the thing. Some states require you to renew a tax license or a sales permit every year. Some require you to collect taxes on both the cost of the product plus the shipping that the customer paid. Some only the product itself. The rules for states are all over the place. So it is your job to find out what your state requires. Now, Amazon doesn't require it. You got to talk to your state laws and find out what they say. What I did for myself is I went directly to a tax lawyer to find out, hey, help me understand this. I'm an online business. It's retail, but it's not brick and mortar retail. What are the options? What do I need to know? Because I want to make sure I'm honoring the law. Question number three, if I do have to collect taxes, do I collect taxes at the tax rate of the state that I'm shipping the product to? Or do I collect taxes at the tax rate of the product from where I'm shipping it from? Now, this is a really big question because it gets very confusing based on the state that you're in. So there are two kinds of sales tax laws when it comes to states. Number one, you have origin-based sales tax. What that means is, let's say you are in Texas, okay, and you are selling in Texas. When you ship it out to a customer, if Texas was origin-based tax law state, then you have to collect taxes based on the Texas 0.0825 rate. However, let's say you live in Alabama, and Alabama is a destination-based tax rate. So if you ship it to Alabama, then you have to collect taxes at the rate of the state you are shipping it to. So for example, I'll make this up. Let's just say their tax rate was 10%, and I'm shipping it to someone in Alabama, then that's how much tax I would collect. If your state is an origin-based state, you're going to charge at the rate of the seller's location. If your state is destination based, you're going to charge at the rate of the buyer's location. Most of the states are destination based. Of the 50 states, 38 of them, their tax law is destination based, and the other 12 are origin based states. Question number four, what do I need to understand about sales tax nexus? Now, this is super important if you want to understand your tax laws. Sales tax nexus just means presence in a state. So if you are presently living in Georgia, and that is where you are shipping your items from, or that's where you're running your business, then your sales tax nexus is in Georgia. Therefore, you are bound to Georgia's tax state laws. However, let's say you have inventory in California and you're in Georgia, so you're running your business from Georgia, but you're shipping your inventory from a warehouse in California to make it easier to get to people in the middle, like in the Midwest. Now you have a sales tax nexus in both Georgia as well as California. So now you have a sales tax nexus in 2 states. Now let's say your uncle decides to work for you and he lives up northwest in Washington. So now you have sales tax nexus in 3 states, because if he's working for you on the same company, then you have 3 different states, Georgia, California, Washington, whose tax laws you have to honor. Question number 5, how do I set up my Amazon account to collect taxes if I need to do that? Well, I'm going to show you exactly how. All you do is you go to settings from Seller Central and go down to where it says tax settings. Click on that button and it's going to take you right here on the tax calculation setup page. From here, you hit continue. And now you're going to see it's going to give you an overview of a whole bunch of data on the methodology of collecting sales taxes through Amazon. Once you've read through that and memorized it, no, not really, you're going to hit continue. And now you're going to be at this next one that's going to give you tax codes. So for whatever you're selling, let's say you are selling general clothing, then you'll need to copy or write down that code. Let's say you are selling athletic shoes, then you need to get that code. You're going to need this code so that you know you can insert it into your store to make sure you're collecting taxes based on that product category. So once you've collected all the codes that you need, you're going to hit continue again. Now this takes you to a page where you're actually going to set it up. First, it gives you a whole bunch of data. And then if you go through down to here, this is where you begin to put in the information. So for example, if you are collecting state tax, county tax, city tax, district tax, you're going to click that. This would be based on the state that you have a sales tax nexus in. And this is right here, taxable if item is taxable. Again, this is based on your state. Some states will tax you. They want you to collect taxes on the shipping costs. Some do not. So you just click on that based on the answer to that. You can put in your rate right here. If you have a custom rate, you can actually type it in exactly what you want. And then this is your state registration number for when you registered to do this. Once you've done that, you hit review changes. So now you can go through and collect it, look at it. Obviously it's saying error because I didn't do anything. And then once that's done, you can hit submit. Question number 6, does Amazon report my income to the IRS? Yes, if you make at least $20,000 a year in total revenue. Now keep in mind, even if your revenue dropped to below $20,000 because of a return where the customer was reimbursed, therefore that dropped you below, that money, that doesn't change anything. It still counts. What Amazon will do, they will send you what's called a 1099-K. And that form, you don't really have to do anything with it other than report that information when you file for taxes for that year. I pay a tax accountant to do this for me. So I receive it. What will happen is Amazon will send you an email. The email will give you very specific instructions on how to get the form in Seller Central. You go to Seller Central, you can download the form as a PDF, and now you have that. I recommend you printing it out and keeping it. Now you have your total the revenue you made. Now you're going to take that form and you are either going to use that to calculate how much you made for the year when you file your own taxes, or you're going to send a copy of it to your tax professional or tax accountant so they can do that for you. Amazon will send it to you before the 31st of January of the following year. So for example, we're in 2017 right now, so it is almost January 31st. I will soon be receiving my 1099-K, and you will as well if you made at least over a total of $20,000. What do I do with the 1099-K? As I said, all you do, with the form itself, you don't do anything. It just gives you information so you can accurately record what you made when you report your income to the IRS. How do I find my 1099-K? Well, I'm going to show you exactly where to go. What you're going to do is you're going to go to reports and you're going to click on tax document library, which is going to take you right here. Make sure the tax year is accurate. Right here you see 2015 because I've not received my 2016 yet. And right here you download a PDF. And that's it. And if you're not seeing it, you just hit generate a tax report. And if it's prepared, they will send it over for you. Now, who is required to submit their tax information? Whether you're a professional seller or an individual seller, if you have more than 50 transactions in a year, regardless of sales volume, you have to submit a tax form so they can send you your 1099-K form. So again, if you have more than 50 transactions in a year, you will have to submit your tax form. And the way Amazon does it is once you've had 25 transactions, they're going to send you a little alert on Seller Central that says you need to fill out your tax information. It's really important that you do that because if you don't, they will suspend your account. Do I need a tax identification number? Yes, you absolutely do. If you are a sole proprietor, all you do is put in your social security number. What does that mean? A sole proprietor is someone who has not incorporated the business. They're just a one-man show. It's me, myself, and me. I am my business. My name is my business. Seth Kniep'n. Here's my business. And so I'm just going to give you my social security. So I am filing as a sole proprietor. It's the easiest, fastest way to do it. And if you're setting up a business, it's the cheapest. However, you have a lot of liability. If someone came around and sued you, you could lose your house, your car, your kids. Okay, maybe not your kids, but you get the idea. It doesn't protect your assets. That's why I'm an LLC. Now, when I started, I was a sole proprietor because I couldn't afford the fee for an LLC. There was a day where I could not afford that. Later, I became an LLC, which means limited liability company. And what that means is if someone tried to sue you, your assets are protected, your personal assets. They can't touch your personal savings. They can't touch your house. They can't touch your car, or any of your personal investments. Anything business related, they can sue. It also gives you a lot of freedom and leverage that you wouldn't have, and flexibility as you would with being a corporation, like a C Corp, S Corp, incorporated. For example, when you're a corporation, you have to have regular quarterly documents verifying that you've had meetings with all the members of your board. As an LLC, you don't have to worry about that. There's just a lot more legal requirements as an incorporation. However, whether you're an LLC or incorporated, you have to give them what is called your employee identification number, EIN number. It's really important. You will get this when you register your company with the IRS. They give you that, and that number identifies you as a company so that when you pay your taxes, you're paying taxes not only personally, but you're also paying taxes as a company. Now, don't let that freak you out. If you own a business, your ability to have tax write-offs legitimately and legally is absolutely unbelievable. And I'm going to actually walk you through some of that. But just remember, when you're setting up your tax form on Amazon and Seller Central, make sure you give them your social security number, I'm speaking to Americans here, or your employee identification number. Once they identify and validate that that's you, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about anything until you get that 1099-K form. Now, just for fun, I decided to bring you an example of the receipts that I keep in order to get very hefty tax write-offs. Now, the way tax write-off works is like this. Let's say you made $500,000 in total revenue in Amazon in a year. That means you have to pay a percentage of that, usually around 33%, sometimes up to 40%, on your tax income. Thank you, national government. That's a lot of money you worked for. So you don't want to pay that much. That's a lot of money. Now, if you spent, let's just say of that $500,000, let's just say $200,000 of that was business expenses. The computer you bought for your business, the keyboard, the trackpad, the cell phone calls for your business, the cell phone for your business, the inventory, the samples, the shipping costs, the registration with companies, the investment in my coaching program, all of that is a tax write-off. Keep those receipts. Because if you made $500,000 in revenue, but let's say 200,000 of that were business expenses. Now, instead of being taxed a percentage of 500,000, you were taxed a percentage off of 300,000. You will spend a lot less money in taxes. That's why I love having a business. Now, do this legitimately, do it legally. Make sure it really, truly is a business expense. But if it is, it's worth it. Let me just give you an example. Advertising. Anytime I run ads, whether it's on Amazon or Facebook or anywhere else, those receipts go in here and I record it in a spreadsheet. I actually pay someone to drop into a spreadsheet for me. Contract labor. Anytime you hire someone to work for you, for your business, that's also an expense, a receipt you should be collecting. Dues and subscriptions. If you sign up for Merchant Words, if you sign up for any kind of business magazine or let's say Keyword Inspector or keywordtool.io to help you run your business, you need to put the receipts in here, drop it into a spreadsheet. Have the totals ready for your tax accountant. Legal, professional fees, tax prep, etc. Also business expense. The money I spent in 2016 paying someone to do my taxes for me, that's a legitimate business expense. Setting up as a company would also be included in here. When I talk to my tax accountant or my lawyers, that's also in here. When you get trademarked, that's also in here. Materials and supplies. This would be anything that you need for your company, like a computer or a keyboard. It's the sort of like the machines that help you work. A printer, materials and supplies. That's a business tax write-off. Meals and entertainment. Anytime you take someone to lunch and pay for the bill, or you actually fly somewhere for business reasons, if you're talking about business, if it's a business meeting or for a client, a potential client or a business partner, that's a tax write-off. The food you get on the airplane. If you get a drink on the airplane, all of that, tax write-off. The hotel costs, tax write-off. Record all of that. You see how you can go on some really cool trips on your company's bill and it's a tax write-off if it's legit. Medical is also a tax write-off, not from a business perspective, but anytime there are medical needs, that is a tax write-off. So if you have to pay medical bills in the US, tax write-off. You should not be taxed for those. Office supplies, things like printers, ink, paper, staplers, tax write-off. Always record these receipts. They may seem small at first. It's kind of scary how much you end up spending on that stuff, especially when you're shipping fulfilled by merchant. Postage. For the postage that customers do not reimburse you for, tax write-off. This one's thick. We did a lot of self-fulfilled type stuff as well as FBA stuff. Huge tax write-off right there. Supplies, this would be inventory. When you purchase products from your supplier like China or Pakistan or somewhere else, that also is a legitimate tax write-off. Hey, I hope these 10 questions with answers are helpful to you as you build passive income. Now, I take this same topic and actually go to 25 questions for my clients. We go very in-depth because obviously they're invested and there's a reason for that. This is Seth, Kniep'n at Real. Let me know how I can help you. Hope you have an awesome night. Bye.